Welcome back to Law and Crime Live, everybody. That's a live feed into the Tex MiIver courtroom. The lead detective in this case is on the stand. Again, this is a case about a prominent attorney who is on trial for shooting and killing his wife, but he is claiming the shooting was unintentional, that it was an accident. But let's talk a little bit about what's happening with this witness. I want to bring in right now a guest via Skype, defense attorney and former prosecutor Philip Holloway. Mr. Holloway, great to have you on here.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Now, you've been listening to this. I'm confused. I never like to say that there's sloppy police work, but a lead detective who doesn't ask why the defendant was in the back seat of the car after he said, oh, I was drinking that night, but I only had a headache. It's not like he was intoxicated. So why would he be in the back seat of the car? And this detective didn't press him on it? What do you think?
Well, there's this entire presentation, in my opinion, of this trial has been choppy at best and sometimes hard to follow. I feel like I need to have a roadmap and maybe like an easel or something so I can kind of follow all the different trains of thought, because the orderly presentation of evidence has been entirely missing from day one, in my view, of this case. This detective today, however, has not really added a lot to the state's case. In fact, he's probably helped the defense. One of the things he brought up early on in his testimony on direct examination was a small point that may be missed by a lot of people, but the victim in this case was shot with what we call a full metal jacket bullet, okay? It's essentially a range round. It's what police and others practice with at the shooting range. It would not be anybody's first choice, probably second or third choice, if they're looking for a bullet that has stopping power and that's going to probably do the job if they're intending to commit murder. So this detective apparently had no real concern that there was a whole lot of criminal activity. In fact, early on, the Atlanta Police Department in this case was looking at a misdemeanor charge, perhaps of reckless conduct, or even a misdemeanor variety of involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah, this detective is very interesting to follow because he's a representation of a number of witnesses brought forward by the state that haven't not necessarily even helped their case, but maybe have hurt their case. So let's listen in. Philip, stand by. I want to listen to more of Darren Smith, and when we come back, we have a lot to analyze. Let's listen in live to the courtroom testimony.
And can you tell the jurors how was that done?
We have kits, evidence collection kits, specifically for buccal swabs, as they're called. They're provided from us either through the GBI or we special order them. Put some gloves on. There's 2 long Q-tips. Sometimes I might.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we all need to make a little bit of sense of Detective Darren Smith here. I'm with Lis Wiehl. He just said on the stand, the trigger was pulled. It didn't matter if it was single action or double action. He also didn't intend the autopsy of Diane McIver. What am I not getting about this guy?
I hear your frustration. I feel your frustration. We're at the same table here, and it's mounting over there, Jesse. Calm yourself down. Calm. No.
I need you to help me explain this.
Well, I wish I could, because I can't. I don't understand it. The prosecution, now, he's not their star witness. Oh, wait a second. He's their lead investigator. He is their star witness. He's the lead investigator. And I'm looking at this guy and going, wait a second. Which side is he on? He looks almost like he's just had a big fight with the prosecution here, and he's like taking it out on them in the stand.
Well, it did get a bit testy before, because they said, "Were you prepared to speak today? Did you review your transcripts?
Did your dog swallow? You eat your homework or something over yesterday or something before you got here?
Yeah.
Did something happen? Did you have a big fight with somebody before you got here? I mean, he really looks like he hasn't prepared, or he's angry. He's answering in a yes or no. And wait a second, this is direct examination. I mean, and this is a guy who started by talking about the extensive, interviewing technique he has, and about how he asks these open-ended questions. Why does he do that? So we get all this information before going into these closed-in questions that really but first he's going to draw out somebody. Well, the reason you do that, as you know, Jesse, is you ask these open-ended questions. So then, yes, you could ask open-ended questions and then draw them out and then go into the closed questions where you slam them in, Well, he kind of forgets those closed questions because he asked no follow-up questions. He doesn't ask the follow-up questions.
I don't want to say that he was sick the day they taught investigating at detective school, but it kind of sounds a little bit like that. Let's
getting mean.
Let's listen in now more to Darren Smith, and hopefully we learn a little bit more about the investigation into Tex MiIver.
During the course of the investigation, did you consider the vehicle to be a crime scene?
Yes, I did.
Welcome back to Law and Crime Live, everybody. We're covering the Claude Tex MiIver case out of Atlanta, Georgia. Darren Smith, a lead detective in this case, is on the stand. Again, this is the one about a prominent local attorney who was on trial for shooting and killing his wife from the back seat of a moving car. She was in the front passenger seat. He was in the back seat. But he said the gun went off by accident, that it was an unintentional shooting. Let's break down some more aspects of this case with criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Philip Holloway, excuse me. And Philip, we're watching this, but I have some more questions about an overall theme of this case. In your opinion, what is the strongest aspects of the prosecution's case? We talk so much about the problems of their case, but is it the fact that Claude MiIver received money after Diane died? Is it his odd behavior after the shooting? Was it selling her stuff? Or is it the fact that we all know he's the one who shot her? In your opinion, what are the strongest aspects of the state's case?
Well, there's no question about it that we do know that he's the one who caused the shot to be fired. Now, I say it in those words very carefully because to say that he shot her does not, that sort of implies that it was intentional. We know that he caused, one way or another, that gun to be fired, and we also know that there's this, albeit a little bit mushy, financial alleged motive, and that may be the strongest thing that they've got. Now, that being said, I am not at all sold on that because there's another way to look at that motive. You could argue, I think, if you're the defense, that Tex MiIver was better off financially if his wife remained alive because she was the main source of support. She made a lot more money than him, and he was much better off financially with her living a few more years, if you will. So she also, her last words were like, this was an accident. So she knows her husband the best. She knows him better than anybody, and she tells the doctor that this was an accident. So they do have some things that, do point in the prosecution's direction, but proof beyond a reasonable doubt, as you know, is a very tough burden to meet. And in my view, there's a lot more going for the defense than there is for the prosecution at this point.
Well, we'll have to listen in and more about this case. The state is still presenting their case. They're not quite finished yet. They have a lot more to go. They structured their case. First, let's show the motive. Then let's show what happened in the car. And now we're understanding a little bit about how this crime was investigated. Let's listen in live.
Question asked. All right. Let's stay focused. Question asked, and if you need the witness to go further, you can always do that.
Did the vehicle appear to be clean to you?
Yes.
As Darren Smith refreshes his memory, I'm here with Lis Wiehl. What was that objection going to be? I mean, what was he about to say? There was no overwhelming evidence that this looked like a murder?
Of intentional murder. That's critical here because so far he hasn't said that he had any overwhelming evidence of murder, right? We just got recklessness at this point. Now he's looking. What is he looking at? He's refreshing his memory.
This is the conversation.
That he had a second interview with Danny Jo Carter. Now, remember, in the first interview, she's not said anything about Tex telling her to say that she wasn't driving. That's critical to count 5 of this indictment.
Lee, stand by. I think we're about to hear what she told him. So let's listen in live.
During your interview with him about his concern about the large number of homeless people causing him to ask his wife for the handgun. You remember that question?
Yes, I do.
And I think I followed that question up by asking you whether or not that concern of his went away, and if so, did he tell you anything about it? And you kind of said, I don't know exactly. But page 38, is your memory refreshed now?
Yes, it is.
Does that page and the words on that particular page deal with that aspect of the interview?
Yes, it does.
Okay, can you tell the jurors what did he say to you about that? His fear or concern about the large homeless people?
Once he was handed the gun, he was, I guess the exact word was relatively satisfied he was out of that area on Piedmont.
So folks are wrestling papers.
I'm sorry. He said when he was handed the gun,
right.
He was relatively satisfied they were out of that area.
Okay, out of what area?
I would assume it's the area where he...
Don't assume it just says out of that area, that's what it says.
Well, that's not quite what it says. But...
Okay, well, you're going to refresh your recollection, share with the jury what you recall. If Mr. Harvey wants to explore that recollection, he can. My point was simply, if you don't know, the words are the words, and so Mr. Rucker ought not to ask you to say, what did those words mean?
Well, in the section right before that, did you have conversations with him about the reason why he asked for the gun in the first place?
Yes.
And what was the reason why he said he asked for the gun in the first place?
Why have you been asking the answer?
Yeah, we've covered that. Folks can connect the dots.
Okay. Okay. Counsel, I am on page 2, spilling over to page 3 with respect to the Patricia Carter, what I call interview 2 transcript. Okay, you'll start here on page 2, line 22 through 25 on that page, and then spill over. If you would read that, I'm going to ask you to see if that refreshes your recollection, because I'd like to ask you some questions about what the defendant said specifically. Okay? Not the defendant, I'm sorry, what Ms. Carter said specifically.
This back and forth between the defense and the prosecution.
It looks so bad that he doesn't remember. He's got to keep looking back. He's got to have his memory refreshed. He doesn't know this stuff. It just looks so bad for the lead investigator.
Yeah, it's amazing because really the conversation centers around what did Tex say in that interview, and then also what did Danny Joe Carter tell him as well.
This is stuff that he should have really, basically memorized.
I mean, he was pressed earlier in the day. Did you prepare for trial today?
Right.
And these are big points, though.
These are big points. Now, how was the comfort, what he's looking at here, I think, to refresh his recollection, is what did the three of them, how comfortable were they in the area where they were driving, right? The comfort level, okay. That was, and where was the gun? Where was the gun positioned back and forth? That was a key issue, and the comfort level, and who was talking about the comfort level.
He said he said in the interview. Tex said once he was handed the gun, he was satisfied he was out of the area. What does that area mean? That becomes the question.
Exactly.
So we're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we'll jump right into court. We don't want you to miss anything of this case. It's been an exciting day so far. A lot more to discuss here in the Tex MiIver case out of Atlanta. Now that Darren Smith is being cross-examined, I'm here with Lis Wiehl. What is the strategy for this witness by the defense?
The defense is actually going to build up this witness, build him up, build up his credibility, as you're seeing right here, 18 years as a detective, build him up to say it at the end. And even you, with your 18 years as a detective, you could not find that Tex MiIver actually intentionally murdered his wife. You could not find that, and this witness is going to have to say, yes, that's right.
That's what the defense is going to try to do, because under direct examination, it looked like sloppy police work, but now it's for the defense to show that this is a grade A detective. Let's listen in live. All right, everybody, this is a live feed in the Tex MiIver courtroom out of Atlanta. Unfortunately, I have to sign off my guest for the morning, Lis Wiehl. Lis, any final words?
Oh, the defense here is loving, embracing the star witness for the state here. I mean, they're building him up. They're building up his credibility, because everything that the state witness has said this morning, the defense loves. So they're going to build him up and say, even you could not say this was an intentional murder. Even you, with all your years' experience, could say this. So how could you, jurors, say that this was intentional murder? You can't. You got to let go of this whole indictment.
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Lis Wiehl, thank you so much for joining us.
Got it.
All right, everybody, I will be signing off, but your next host will be signing in. That's right. Caroline Polisi will be your host for the afternoon session. Thank you so much for joining us in the morning. There's a lot more here in the Tex MiIver case. We'll be right back.